Welcome back to Against the Cage. I'm Scott Fontana here with two UFC Hall of Famers, Daniel Cormier and Chael Sonnen, here to promote the 33rd season of The Ultimate Fighter. Premieres May 27th. Guys, how we doing?
Boom, you nailed it. You got all the high points.
I was
Daniel
a little
Chael, Ultimate Fighter, May 27th.
Hit
What else?
every single one of them. Like, hey, that's good. Hey, Scott, that's good. You hit them all. And 20-year anniversary of the show. Can you believe that the first time those guys walked into that house was 20 years ago? It's crazy.
Do You Want to Be a Fighter was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, too. I actually want to start with you, Chael, on that subject. You've spoken before about the fact that you declined an opportunity to be on that season of The Ultimate Fighter. I understand you have a little bit of regret, a little bit of kind of wishing you'd done that kind of thing. But if you, let's play it out a little bit.
Sure.
Let's say you had been on that season. What would that have looked like with the American Gangster in that house?
Well, and I got to tell you, yes, there is big regret, but we didn't even know what it was back then. So just to tell you my tie-in, Randy Couture was the first ever coach. It was Randy and Chuck. So we had a team called Team Quest, and Randy would come in and he was asking certain guys, Chris Lieben and Nate Quarry and myself, hey, do you want to come join me and do this? But Randy didn't push it. He didn't say, hey, it's a big opportunity, or this is big on our sport, or even that, you could get a UFC contract. Randy didn't fully know what it was. He asked us very lightly if you'd like to come. As the numbers kind of trickled down. I was planning on running for governor, and there was a rule in the contract that you couldn't be in a political race and be on the television show. So at any rate, I declined it. But I look back now, and what a great tournament that would have been to be part of.
Absolutely, and obviously the eventual winner of that was Forrest Griffin, who you'd faced already in that one. Would that have been a nice kind of?
You had fought Forrest before that?
I fought Forrest, and he was very tricky. Like, you could take him down, Daniel, but then he would go to work from down there.
Come on.
You remember that time of the sport. Like, one guy might be good here, but another guy's good here.
Yep.
So he knew these trick moves, like one called a triangle choke that nobody had ever heard of. So he finds his way into this triangle choke. I tap, thinking it ends the round. It turned out they stopped the entire fight. And it was really confusing. But I was happy for Forrest. I was happy to see him go on and do so well. That's true.
It's so crazy that you believe that, and it makes me believe it.
Remember Josh Koscheck?
I
Diego
do.
Sand, Chris Lieben?
What a cast.
I think Chris Lieben peed on Josh Koscheck or something like that.
Yeah,
Remember
that was the craziest thing about The Ultimate Fighter back then. They were a little crazier, and now the guys are pros. But this year, we have a little bit of a throwback cast, right? Where we have some of that bitterness, those back and forth, and those guys kind of getting after each other. Yeah, it's good.
I want to get to the series cast as well, but I also want to ask you, what were your memories of watching? Because you were competing in wrestling at this point on the world stage. Freestyle wrestling, not WWF style. You didn't get the chance to do that either, unfortunately. But what do you kind of remember about watching it at the time?
For me, honestly, it was watching the finale. They were in that Hard Rock.
Yep.
Was it the Hard Rock?
It was
No,
at the
Pearl
Hard
at the
Rock.
Palms. Pearl at the Palms.
Okay.
Pearl at the Palms. And it was that really little intimate venue. And you could see everyone, right? Dana was all skinny, still had hair. Randy, he was still holding on to it at the time. I did that for a while too. But Randy was there, Chuck was there, and people we recognized, like actors. And it was crazy. And I started watching Forrest and Stephan Bonner go, and they're fighting. And it didn't look like the most high-level fight. But you could realize that, wow, if this is a thing, right? If this thing that we're watching right now has the potential to be this, because remember, the VHSs, at times you'd get a Dan Severn just laying on guys.
Sure.
Right? And I was like, if this can be this can be something very special. So I knew right away, I was like, I don't know what this is going to be, but it can be good.
They had grit. Even if they didn't have the greatest skill, those two guys showed grit.
But then they both got very good once they got into their UFC career.
Agreed.
Now, you guys, this is not your first rodeo for coaching. You've done it before. You've done it twice before. So this is second and third, respectively. What about your experiences doing this previously kind of helped guide you or change the way you approach this season?
I will tell you, when you're working with those guys, as a coach, you want credit when they do well. You want credit, and that was something that you did. But in my own experience, I never made a guy much better, but I have seen coaches make their guys worse. It is a grind. It is a grind to be in there twice a day, every day, balancing these emotions. Somebody's cutting weight. Somebody's got to fight somebody. You're in the same van. You're eating dinner across the table from the guy. One guy's all stitched up from a previous fight. I mean, there was so much that went on it that I watched Daniel, the way that he interacted with his guys, and Daniel was such a master of keeping his guys motivated. And I tried to steal some of that. I tried to just steal and kind of keep the guys positive above everything else.
Yeah, It was hard. And what I learned was the first time I did it, it was like, do everything I did because I know that it works. Not recognizing it's so condensed. It was 6 weeks at the time. This time it was 4.
Yep.
Right? It's like, you can't train them like that. Otherwise, they all get hurt. So my first time, I had everybody winning fights, but they were getting hurt so much that this time I took a little bit of a different approach. But it is a grind, right? You're in and there 2 times a day. Chael's my buddy. We start just going past each other in the hallway. Hey, man. Hey, by the end of it, you're like, what's up, Chael? But then we're doing stuff like the show. We're doing our show for ESPN. It's like, God, man, we're constantly going past each other. We're like, what's up, Chael? By the end of it, because it's just like, it really is like the dog days. And that's when you got to keep those guys up, right? When you got 4 dudes that might be eliminated and 4 dudes that are still fighting, you got to not ignore the other dudes because it's still their experience. It was just a weird vibe.
And Scott, you know how one guy wins the tournament, but usually a few guys get brought over. That's what's so hard for us. We want to see them all get an opportunity just because we saw what they went through. I mean, they really showed a respect to the integrity of the process. It's not very many times in life you got to prove how much you want something. If you put your life on hold and you move into a house for 30 days, you fight 4 men after 4 weigh-ins, you've proven you want something.
Even kept their house clean, which was very surprising. I went there one time. And it wasn't just dirty as hell like some of these other ones. These houses can get nasty.
Did you check the whiskey bottles when you went over there?
Were they all drinking?
No, they were all sealed.
See?
And see, I got a kid from Ireland. I thought he'd be cracking the bottles.
So
I kept going over there to
they
trick
were
them.
acting that way without drinking.
Yeah.
I thought they were acting that way because they were drunk.
They could have lied to me. Hey, they might have lied to me. I might learn something watching this season.
Yeah.
This sounds like a lot of civility was happening on this season of the Ultimate Fighter.
No. It wasn't as civil as my first season.
Okay.
There was some bad blood in a couple of those fights.
But no coaches fighting each other.
No, I had a rival on Chael's team. One guy.
Yeah.
I still don't like him. His name is Joseph. Me and Joseph still don't get along.
Popo. It's fun.
That's funny. But obviously, again, it's a weird setup here because you have good guy, bad guy. You guys are friends. You're buddies. You see each other in the hallway. You're all friendly. You're not getting into fights like you did with Vanderlei Silva here. It's a very different experience here. Where does because you're still competitors, where do you guys have that competitiveness come out? How does this come out?
In the fights.
Yeah.
In the fights. And honestly, I think a lot of times, I remember my appreciation for the process when I did it the first time. But at the end of the day, ultimately, my mind was still getting to Stipe. So it was literally give them what I can, get to mine. Now I can be an even better coach because I don't need that. I honestly think, and Chael and I discussed this a little bit, having guys like Chael and I doing the show is very good because we can just truly commit to the guys. And if you want 2 guys to fight, put them on a coaching staff with a guy that's retired. That's what I think you do. Because again, in that first time, I'm a selfish guy because I'm a world champion. And I want to make sure that I protect that, even though I want to help those kids.
And I have seen that, what I believe to be a mistake, when the coaches are in there to mentor a group of people that are aspiring towards the same goals, and the coaches will make it more about them. I have seen that, and it's a little bit of a problem, but the way that was structured where the coaches are going to face each other, you could understand why that format was there. I think it's a little better now that the coaches can actually mentor and coach and bring the kids up. I felt there was a stronger bond doing it this way.
Well, you saw WWE Tough Enough. Remember Tough Enough?
I do.
Yeah.
That show? They had coaches that were there, and those guys didn't wrestle each other. They just taught them the game and taught them the sport, and I think that's what Chael and I did.
The Miz came through that, I think.
Yeah.
Didn't he?
Yeah, he was good. Off the road.
Maven. Let's play a hypothetical out here, though, because coaches
All
tend
right.
to fight each other,
All right.
and you guys aren't going to. But there was a world where you could have met at 205 pounds. How would you have approached that fight against each other? Can I start with you, DC?
Yeah, well, it would have been such a hard. Chael was good, man. We've trained together, and it's been some of the hardest training sessions I've ever had. And I trained with Luke Rockhold and Cain Velasquez my whole career. And when Chael and I trained, we used to train. There was a guy named Jay Glazer in L.A.
Yep.
Glaze. We were part of the Glaze Army. That's what we used to call ourselves. And we would go to his gym. Remember, it was like an upstairs building.
It was
where
beautiful.
We would get away from everybody, and Chael and I would go up there and train, spar. We were working at Fox UFC tonight, and it was hard. It was good, hard training sessions. So I would have had my hands full because his style was very similar to mine.
That's a tremendous compliment from Daniel, and I will take it, but he's being a nice guy. In those training sessions, I never got the best of him, but we worked hard. I was able to push him. It wasn't a waste of anybody's time, and we're both trying to get better. I was in a different weight class. My ego can handle it, but I appreciate how nice he is when he says that.
It's funny, you're very similar in age. You went to college around the same time, competed around the same weight class.
Never got each other.
Yeah, when did you guys kind of cross paths?
College, when his freaking training partner beat me.
Doug Lee.
There's a guy named Doug Lee got me, man, one of Chael's training partner. So we had this rivalry. Like, we had this great 84-pounder at Oklahoma State and 197. At Oregon, they had a program at the time, and Chael was their 97. Doug Lee was their 84. I was actually smaller than Chael. I was the lighter guy in the equation. That's not the case anymore, or it hasn't been for a real long time.
No. I would always hear about this junior college transfer to Oklahoma State, this young guy named Daniel Cormier, and I'd never seen him. And he walks on the mat against this kid from Indiana named Vic Svita. We're at the Reno Tournament of Champions. Daniel threw this guy every which way. He ends up major decisioning him. And I remember watching that and going, that's that kid that everybody's telling me about. That's Daniel Cormier.
Yeah.
I actually want to ask you, Chael, because the fact that when you coached the Ultimate Fighter, it was against Jon Jones, one of the 2 times. Culminated, yes, you love that man, I know. Culminated in a fight in New York, right around the corner. I was at that fight.
Thank you.
Wasn't your night, but he broke his toe.
I ripped it off. I ripped his toe off.
Ripped his toe off. But if you'd made it to the bell, if you'd made it to the horn, and the referee had the chance to look at that, you're probably carrying that belt out of Prudential Center. How does that scenario play out in your head? Like, would you want to win it that way? Do you care?
Oh yeah.
He would have celebrated like no one else. It would have been like Kevin Garnett. Anything is possible.
No, I'd have taken that microphone and I'd have reminded everybody of the golden rule, and I'd have lifted over my head nice and slow, and I'd said, I got the goal and I'm the one that rules, and I'd have walked out of there. I never would have given him a rematch. I'd have never got back in there with that guy. I'd have rubbed that. Now, I am the linear champion because of that. I mean, he's even putting on his fight with Tom Aspinall. He's putting that off because of the injury that I gave him. I ripped his toe. I threw it, right? I remember these kids in the second row. They were horrified. But I will share this with you. I never lost sleep over that because I don't believe he would have quit. That sumbitch was so tough. I think he'd have looked at his toe poking out and told his corner, don't say anything, and come out there and still try to finish. I'm not convinced. The bone was out. The bone was out. Which, per the rule of the commission, if there's it's an automatic stop. I'm not sure he would have told the commission. I think he would have told his coach, Greg Jackson, keep your mouth shut. I'm going to go finish this fight.
Maybe
so
I
never lost sleep over it.
I think it was
you go out there, Chael, you go out there and you go, look at his toe.
Yeah. He did go into shock. He went into a little bit of shock, but
when he realized, you could see him afterward. He was like, "Oh, look at that! Yeah, that was crazy." You brought up Tom Aspinall now, and I want to ask you, DC, because obviously, as we know, Jon Jones is your best friend. This fight with Tom Aspinall, it's there's a lot of hype for it. Sure. Everybody wants it. Dana's saying it's going to happen. Tom Aspinall is doing everything he can to make it happen. Jon has been very public about disinterest with this fight. What do you make of this situation?
It's interesting because I would not be so quick to say that Tom Aspinall is just going to beat Jon Jones, right? I think so many people forget who Jon Jones has fought, who he's been in the octagon with, and all the challenges he's overcome. With that being said, I believe this is a very dangerous fight for him. And I think he recognizes that because the guy's big, the guy's strong, and the guy's young. And that is the difference today opposed to what Jones dealt with prior. When I fought Jones the first time, I was 36 years old. When we fought the second time, I was 38, about to go 39 years old. Like, we were up in age when how old were you when you fought Jones?
Yeah, 38.
Yeah, we were old. He was a young guy, 27.
Yep.
Now it's like he's on the opposite end of that. And like there's some worry when you look in the mirror and look at a 38-year-old man opposed to that 27-year-old kid that he was before, and recognize that Tom Aspinall is dangerous.
That's a great assessment by you. That was very fun to listen to.
But I do want to get back to here, and I actually want to keep it in New York because we're going to be back here in a few weeks. I imagine one or both of you'll definitely be there. You'll be here. You're going to be there for UFC 316. We got 2 championship fights at this one. But the question I have for you to start.
What's the second one?
The second, there's both bantamweight championships, the men's and the women's.
Oh, nice.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
there's some big fights here.
What weight is bantam? That's 135?
135. Remember the girls, Kayla?
I was pretending I didn't care.
I
was pretending. I was just being a d***.
You could hit that if you chop a couple legs off.
Bantamweight. What do they call it bantam? Why do they call it 135? It's like they're embarrassed that they weigh 135, so we made up a new fancy name of bantam.
That's so funny.
Oh,
you
that's
know.
old school. That I believe bantam's
At the end
chicken,
of the day, train
right?
all you want, but if you weigh 135 pounds, you should probably get a concealed carry permit.
You've both been to Newark, but
Yes.
you've been all over the place because you call these fights and everything.
Yes.
How do you what's the crowd like in Newark compared to some other locations?
Dude, I tell you, last year when O'Malley knocked out Aljamain Sterling,
Yep.
it was loud, man. It was loud. It was so loud. People love it here. And New Jersey fight fans are very excited. And this whole area is great for fighting. New York, the whole Tri-Cities. But I love it. I love coming here. I love coming to Newark. Love coming to watch the fights. These are big ones. O'Malley versus Merab again. And then Juliana Pena versus Kayla Harrison. Big time fights. The crowd appreciates it here in New Jersey.
And that's got implications, too, when you talk about the girls' fight. Is that going to draw into Amanda? Do you believe
It
that?
feels like it.
Amanda's
It
talking about
feels
coming
like
back
it.
to that.
Amanda's saying she's coming back, Daniel, but then she hasn't entered the pool.
Hey, but also like you talked about before.
Yeah.
Hey, Scott, we're gonna give you a little something. You don't get better at something by quitting. That's from the good
You
guy
don't
right
get better
there.
by not doing
You don't
it.
get better by not doing it, right? So for us to expect Amanda, if she does come back, to be better than she was when we last saw her, that's ridiculous.
But the hype for that fight would just
It
be
would
huge.
be
Ken.
hype. It would be hype.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
can she match that hype with her performances?
Where does that put this kind of hype in the grand scheme of women's MMA that we've seen?
Well,
I mean,
and I think that you would have to understand that's only if it's Kayla. Kayla's got to get through Juliana. I don't think the world's dying to see part 3 between Juliana and Amanda. And that's just the truth. And you got Kayla that's never headlined anything. You got Amanda that's never sold as a headline. And somehow we're supposed to believe if you bring them together, all of a sudden we
my
got
God.
magic. Well, I'm just saying, we're all pretending we want to see that fight. Nobody cared when she retired in the first place. This is not some coveted match. I don't say it to be a jerk. I'm saying it to the fans.
from Amanda like you
Yeah,
got from Valentina.
but you got the fans talking about, I want to see her so bad. It's like, you didn't buy her T-shirt back when you could buy her T-shirt. You didn't wait in her line for an autograph back when you could wait in her line for an autograph. You didn't swing the needle at any point. But we're supposed to believe if she comes back against a teammate that she already quit a gym and left over, that you're going to return. This doesn't make any kind of sense, and I'm not this foolish of a guy. Enter the pool, and we'll talk about you. If you don't enter the pool, you're not serious about this, and that's fine.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
True.
So maybe we just miss her. Or it's like Connor, where every time somebody fights, it's like, I'm coming back.
Yeah.
Right? So we don't know.
Could be.
but we do have that fight, Harrison against Pena.
Yes,
this
we
one
do.
we do have. Kayla Harrison, she's 2-0 as a bantamweight. She's always fought 45 and above. So this is still tricky for her. She's only gotten down to 136. She's going to have to hit 35 for this one.
Yep.
It's tricky. There is going to be probably no towel around for the weigh-in on this one. So what is the weight?
see.
What is the weight do for this one?
You see? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? See what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, he was
He's all
good.
he did.
Scott was good.
He's
yeah.
all he did,
Yeah.
huh? This dude
He was
right
being a
here,
nice guy, and
man.
he just went heel.
He's like, nice.
Scott turned
nice.
heel.
It's like when I knocked Farrell down in the wrestling ring that one time. But you see? Okay, Scott. Let me just try to gather myself.
Absolutely.
Because you hit me a little bit.
I know. I got you a little bit.
Okay. It's a pound. She knows how much focus and commitment she needed to make the weight initially. First opportunity, she has to do it. She doesn't like Juliana. Whenever you're mad and when you're angry, it's easier. When I fought my best friend Jon Jones, as you said, I never had weight issues because I was so motivated. I think the motivation will carry her. She'll make the weight no problem. There you go. Can we cut the tape so I can?
Yeah. That sounds right.
There will be time.
That sounds right.
No?
And Scott,
Okay.
I'll just to your point. According to Kayla, the last time she weighed 135 pounds, she was a sophomore in high school.
Oh.
So don't forget her Olympics. Her second Olympics, it was 172 pounds. Just to put it in perspective. So in athletic prime of her life, she was 40 pounds bigger. It really is an incredible commitment that she is going through. She wants to be a UFC champion. That's where the opportunity is, and I respect that she is doing whatever it takes just to get the opportunity.
On the men's side too, I think I'll wrap it up here.
Okay.
There is the main event, of course, is Merab against Sean O'Malley here. It's kind of an interesting situation because there are so many characters at 135 pounds on the men's side, but yet Sean O'Malley gets to get that immediate rematch even after Merab had to fight again in the middle there. Is this the right fight to make it this time? Because let's say for a second too, Sean doesn't get the win here. He's lost 2 in a row. That boxes him out. Is this the right time for this fight?
I think it's the right time because Corey Sandhagen isn't ready right now, right? I don't know that you could do anybody else because Merab just beat Umar. and Umar was so clearly the number one guy. And Petr Yan is available, but Merab beat him before too. So now you're getting into rematches. By the way, Merab Dvalishvili is probably the most interesting guy in the UFC. He is so fun. He's like having the best time of his life. Did you see him with that girl?
Yeah.
What's that girl's name that twerks?
Yeah, I don't know, but she can move a
What's
little
the
bit.
girl's name that
Eileen
twerks?
Yeah,
Perez?
she was moving.
Eileen Perez. Merab goes, hey, can I touch this? I swear, she's like twerking. Merab goes, can I touch this? And he like touches her, but he's having the time of his life. Merab Dvalishvili.
Did he make it look cool though? Did he do it
smacked
cool?
bro.
All right.
He's all.
All right.
But anyhow, Merab's having the time of his life. As the champion before, he's won 12 fights in a row. He beat O'Malley before.
Yeah, he did.
Here's the problem. O'Malley's the biggest star in the division still. You either get him in there now or you run the risk of someone else possibly beating him. So you get him in there right now, see if he can flip the result. My only issue, and I told Chael this a few weeks ago, is that he's been injured with a I found out it wasn't even his shoulder. It was much worse as his hip.
Ooh.
It's actually the what's that in your shoulder?
Anterior cruciate.
No, that's the ACL, but it's the
collar.
Yeah, he has a
Tendonitis, ligament.
labrum.
Cartilage,
He
labrum.
tore the labrum in his
Labrum.
hip. The labrum not in his shoulder. That would have been better.
Yeah.
Because the wrestling is where he struggled before. If you can't wrestle, how do you intend to make it better by wrestling Merab Dvalishvili?
Yeah, no, that hurts. I love the idea only because what happens on one side, I think you got to have fairness. And I only bring you, when O'Malley got done fighting Cheeto, they told him you're going into Merab. When he got done with Merab, they told him if you succeed here, you're going into Magomedov. And not for nothing, O'Malley never got to really go out to the public. He never really got to lobby and try to get himself a fight. So the fact that they're going to return the favor for him, the same one that he did for two other guys, I think it's only right. And O'Malley is our biggest star. Now, Alex Pereira might disagree with that, but O'Malley does have two box offices that were greater than Pereira's in 2024. So if Pereira's getting a title shot, I think that O'Malley should too.
Well, no. Pereira should get a title.
Yes,
Because
agreed.
he's beaten everybody.
For sure.
He deserves it.
I'm just making the same argument for O'Malley.
I think O'Malley's getting his title shot because he did good business with them. And when they called, he did it. But Pereira, I mean, come on, dude. 300, 303, Utah, like he fought everybody. A little bit of a different story. I know you're a Sean O'Malley guy.
I'm a mark. I'm a O'Malley mark.
You are. He's an O'Malley mark.
And no Chama. He gave me a no Chama, so
And
I got to roll with
did tell him
O'Malley.
Chael no Chama. Because Chael said something about a handshake.
What does no trauma mean?
No Chama
He
is where-
loves to say
where-
Chama, but
No
now
Chama
he
is
said
where
Chael no
takes a
Chama.
size 12 and sticks it right up his ass if he keeps this no Chama business up.